The announcement by Pope Benedict XVI that he would resign shocked Catholics and non-Catholics alike. A pope has not resigned for nearly 600 years, but the 85-year-old pontiff says someone with more energy should take over the papacy.
Observers say Pope Benedict's successor is unlikely to bring major changes to the church. I talked about that and more with VOA's religion reporter Jerome Sokolovsky, who joined me at St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church here in Washington for a conversation with Pastor Avelino Gonzalez. Let's take a look. So do you think that then the next pope will be in line with the philosophies that Pope Benedict has exhibited?
They will be in line with the mind of the church, and the church develops through time, and it has different perspectives.
It has to adapt to the times, really, to the changes in the world in some ways.
Yes, but you have to be careful with the word adapt to the times, because if that's interpreted as embracing all of the world culture, then that's a problem. So the church is always countercultural. It has been since from the beginning. It has to be, because the church is called to be a prophetic voice in the culture. So if the church embraces all of the trends and movements in the culture, then it loses its prophetic voice.
Now, turning now to some of the challenges that have faced the church in recent years, I wanted to ask Jerome, what's been the perception of how Pope Benedict has handled some of these issues, including the abuse issue that has rocked the church?
The church's spokesmen say that the Pope has dealt with that he actually instituted that a sexual abuse of a child is a crime in the Catholic Church, and he has indeed done that. What some of the victims say is that not enough has been done, that there have been steps taken within the Church, but there has been no command responsibility. No one who was responsible at a higher level has actually been penalized from within the Church. I don't know if you would agree with that, or?
Well, there has been just in the case in Pennsylvania, where a person that was not directly an abuser, but that did not do a good enough job defending the families, he was prosecuted. So that was
prosecuted by lay authorities, but not from within the church. You haven't had archbishops or required by the church to take responsibility for what happened, for their subordinates' actions. That's their criticism.
Sure.
How would you respond to that criticism?
Even in the secular world, you have a line between someone who is of authority. Is that a responsibility of the head of a department to be responsible for everything that happens in a direct way? If there is not knowledge of the details, then that needs to be considered. The church has been very open with regards to this whole business, with regards to being open to civil authorities. But the church also has to do things according to the mind of the church, and be defending also who's innocent.
Jerome, you talked earlier, we were speaking earlier, and you mentioned that you felt that the church is really at a crossroads now. Can you expand on that and describe what you were referring to?
There are a great many liberal Catholics who disagree with the way the hierarchy has taken the church. People who think contraceptives should be not just allowed, but think that it's moral to use contraceptives. So I guess the church has to decide. Maybe you feel that the church has already decided and will continue in that way.
There is a tension in the church. Part of it, I think, has been the lack of a proper formation for Catholics in the last about, I'd say, maybe 50 years. So that lack of formation, that lack of prophetic voice that I was talking about, has really increased that tension between progressives and I would say just people that are in line where the church is, the heart and mind of the church, that prophetic voice.
Finally, if the two of you could identify the #1 challenge you feel is facing Pope Benedict's successor.
Well, I feel like it's the priest shortages in places like Africa, where there are many people who cannot participate in Mass because there aren't enough priests for them. Some people are saying that's the case for women's ordination, that if women were priests, that problem would be addressed. but I think women's ordination is basically out of the question. John Paul II basically declared that it wouldn't happen.
So the greatest challenge for the church into the future is the new evangelization, how to represent the faith to people who have been Catholics or Christians and have rejected the faith for one reason or another, and to bring those back.
And again, Jerome Sokolovsky is VOA's religion reporter. Our thanks to him and to Pastor Avelino Gonzalez at St. Joseph's Church here in Washington.